Good evening, night shifters. This is third shift HFY. Settle in and let tonight's stars tell their story.
The hollow circle chamber reeked of fear. The air was thick with the musk of a dozen species, acidic oils from the Krivak, the wet earth scent of the Eryx, the faint copper tine of the Cerulans. Obsidian walls reflected fractured images of the delegates, making the room feel more crowded than it was. Above, the domed ceiling shimmered with real-time star charts, each crimson flare marking the same truth. Another world was gone. The constellations themselves seemed wounded. Alien delegates hissed, clicked, and warbled in their native tongues, voices overlapping into a chaotic din. Translation drones fought to keep pace, their synthetic voices stuttering. Vaithra Sen-Kal, the speaker of the Hollow Circle, rose from her seat, water beading on her pale blue amphibian skin. Her voice cut through the noise. "Enough! Enough! We must understand why the humans have turned rabid!" From the shadowed edges of the chamber, a frail archivist stepped forward. His frill pressed flat against his skull, a universal sign of dread among his kind. He clutched a data slate so tightly, his claws shook against the casing. "It was for a child." The chamber fell silent. Even the translation drones powered down, as though unwilling to repeat the words. Somewhere in the far rafters, a single droplet of water hit stone. The great days at the center of the hollow circle rotated with a slow mechanical hum, revealing the image already cued in the projector's core. A barren parade ground under a pale yellow sun. Dust blew in thin, sharp gusts, tugging at the banners of the Krivak Dominion. Rows of reptilian warriors stood at rigid attention, their scale plates lacquered in deep crimson, jagged bone crests glinting in the light. In the middle of it all stood a child, small, human, her wrists bound in steel cuffs too large for her arms. Vaithra's voice was low, almost afraid to speak. "Is this live?" It was, transmitted to every world in the network. A tall Krishvak warlord stepped forward. Koresh Vern, the Dominion's champion, decorated in ceremonial spine armor and carrying a jagged blade forged from volcanic glass. He turned to face the galaxy-wide feed. "Look well, Starborn. This is the measure of your so-called humans. Their young cannot be defended, their hearts are soft, their bodies weak. They are prey, nothing more." The Krivik crowd erupted into guttural cheers. Koresh raised the blade over the child's head. The camera feed held on her eyes, wide, tearful, but defiant. The blade fell, the image cut to black. A shudder ran through the hollow circle. One of the delegates from the insectoid Orvith clicked their mandibles, not in hunger, but in fear. "They broadcast this, and thought nothing of it." And the humans saw. The galaxy had not heard the Iron Choir sing in centuries. The name alone was half forgotten, buried in war records from humanity's own age of ruin. Most believed those weapons dismantled, their blueprints erased. They were wrong. On lunar shipyards, sealed vaults rumbled open. Air that had been locked away for generations rushed out in ghostly plumes. Inside, the hulks of ancient warships gleamed like sleeping predators, their hulls etched with the scars of past battles. Automated crews stirred, drones with human insignias burned into their plating. Across the red sands of Mars, massive silhouettes rose from subterranean hangars. The Iron Choir, long dormant war constructs, marched into the sunlight, their black void-glass plating reflecting a sky they hadn't seen in ages. A broadcast began. The feed carried across every open frequency in known space. The screen revealed a single human, tall, unyielding, his uniform a deep charcoal, the emblem of the Terran assembly at his collar. "To the Krivak Dominion, we are coming for those responsible. To all others, do not stand in our way." The feed cut. No music, no flourish, just silence. That silence hit harder than any threat. In the hollow circle chamber, a delegate from the avian current shifted in their perch. "They mean to kill them all." "No, they mean to make examples." The hollow circle archives were carved into the bedrock of Salith Prime, a place older than the Council itself. The walls pulsed faintly with the light of stored data, as though the zone remembered every crime, every treaty, every war. Vaithra moved through the stacks in near silence, her webbed feet leaving faint damp prints on the polished obsidian. The archivist trailed behind, clutching his data slate. They stopped before a vault door sealed with human markings. Old markings. The archivist entered the access code with trembling claws. The vault hissed open, releasing the stale, recycled air of centuries past. Holograms flared to life. Images of human families gathered around campfires, soldiers carrying wounded children from rubble, weathered elders speaking to crowds with eyes that still burned bright. Dathra reached out, fingerprints brushing the projection of a white-haired woman cradling a child. The file metadata shimmered beside it. To harm the young or the old is to wage war on the human soul. By the moons, we did not just kill a child, we declared war on their future and on their past. The archivist's frill lifted in a gesture of despair. There will be no peace now. The war did not come as a wave. It came as a series of precise, brutal strikes, each one delivered like a blade between the ribs. The first Krivak world burned until its trust shone like molten glass. From orbit, it looked like an amber jewel, until the surface cooled into a dead, lifeless sheen. On a water-rich colony allied to the Dominion, human ships seeded the seas with engineered plagues. The microorganisms sang silently into the tides, unraveling every cell they touched. Entire ocean ecosystems collapsed in a single season. In the mining system of Corinhel, the humans collapsed the primary star into a shadow well. No explosion, no spectacle, just light gone. The survivors fled into cold darkness, their ships' running lights the only glimmers left. News feeds across the galaxy struggled to keep up. One moment they showed calm skies, the next, another world was simply gone. In the hollow circle chamber, panic fractured into open fear. They are not stopping. This is extermination. No, this is punishment. And somewhere beyond the rim, the Iron Choir kept marching. Salith Prime's skies bled with fire. The hollow circle's planetary defense grid, proud, ancient, and untested in centuries, shattered in under an hour. Human warships descended through the clouds like dark spears, their hulls etched with streaks of molten heat from atmospheric entry. The Iron Choir did not announce itself. It arrived. From the lead dreadnought, silent accord, a single dropship descended to the plaza before the council chamber. No escorts, no visible weapons. The hatch opened. Admiral Rowan Ishikawa stepped out, dress blacks pressed to perfection, boots gleaming under the harsh daylight. His gaze swept the assembled delegates, as though cataloging each one for later judgment. Inside the chamber, the silence was suffocating. "Admiral, why have you come?" Rowan's voice carried across the room without need of amplification. "You let it happen. You cheered as it happened. You fed the broadcast to your people and called it proof of our weakness." He took a single step forward, his presence filling the hall like a storm front. "This is your only warning. Do not mistake our restraint for weakness." No one moved. No one spoke. The Krivak ambassadors were dragged into the chamber in heavy restraints, their bone plate armor stripped, ceremonial crests shattered. The guards flanking them were human marines in matte black combat gear, their helmets blank and unraidable. No trial, no speeches. The executions were swift, a clean arc of motion, a brief, wet sound as each life ended. Bodies slumped to the marble floor, the impact echoing through the vast chamber. The Marines stepped aside, revealing the wall behind the ambassadors' former seats. There, freshly carved into the obsidian in every known script, was the message: when we say don't, it is not out of fear. It is to spare you from what we become when provoked. We are the fire you cannot control. Vaithra stared at the words, her gills flaring in silent disbelief. Around her, no delegate dared to speak. Even the translation drones stayed dormant, as if they understood that silence was the only safe response. Admiral Roan turned without another word, his boots clicking once against the stone before fading into the distance. Outside, the Iron Choir was already preparing to leave orbit, but the shadow they cast over Salith Prime would never lift.